Hey there, good evening, everyone. Hope you're winding down. Okay, pull up a chair. Seriously, I want to talk about something tonight that almost nobody warns you about. It's not the kind of thing you hear in a typical doctor's visit, not because we don't care, but because in a 15-minute appointment between checking your blood pressure and refilling your cholesterol meds, there's just no time for this kind of conversation. So here it is right now. At this very moment, there is a very, very small cancer cell quietly sleeping somewhere inside your body. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because it's true. It's just sitting there, not moving, not growing. It's tiny, about the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen, maybe even smaller than that. No oxygen, no nutrients. It's locked in a tiny cage, stuck in one spot, unable to escape. It's just behaving itself, staying quiet. But here's what most people don't realize. If one single, very thin blood vessel, thinner than a strand of your hair, reaches that cell, in about 2 weeks, that tiny sleeping cell can grow 16,000 times bigger, 16,000 times. Let me say that again, 16,000 times. That's like a single grain of rice turning into a whole family-sized bag of rice in less than 2 weeks, or like a single dollar turning into $16,000. You get the idea. It's explosive. So the real question, and I mean this sincerely, the real question has never been, will I ever get cancer? That's the wrong question. The right question is, what keeps that cell locked in its cage? What keeps it sleeping? What stops it from waking up? And maybe even more important, what wakes it up in the first place? And the answer, I promise you this, is not only in a hospital, it's not only in a pharmacy, it's not something you need a prescription for. The answer is on your dinner table tonight, in your fridge, in your grocery cart at Walmart, in your pantry, in your lunch bag. I know what you might be feeling right now. Your stomach might have tightened a little, your shoulders might have gone up. That's totally normal. This is heavy, I get it. Maybe you just scrolled past a scary headline on your phone before bed. Maybe a friend sent you an article that made your heart sink. Maybe you watched a news segment that left you feeling helpless. Or maybe someone in your family is going through cancer treatment right now. Maybe you're sitting there thinking, I want to help, I want to do something, but I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to cook. I don't know what actually works. Or maybe, and this is so common, you're just looking around at people your age, coworkers, neighbors, people from your book club or your church, and you're thinking, wow, a lot of people are getting sick. What can I actually do for myself? What can I do for my kids, for my parents, for my husband or wife? Let me tell you something honestly from the bottom of my heart. Having that worry, that fear, that little voice in your head saying, I should probably pay attention to this. That is not a problem. That is actually a very, very good sign. It means you're taking your body seriously. It means you're not just sleepwalking through life, eating whatever, hoping for the best, ignoring the check engine light. It means you're someone who cares, and that mindset, that willingness to learn, that is honestly half the battle right there. There's an old saying, and I love this, a great doctor treats the disease before it even happens. Not after you show up in the ER at 2 in the morning, not after you get the scary phone call from your doctor's office. Before, way before, that's what I want to help you with today. I spent years in the lab, a lot of late nights, a lot of failed experiments, a lot of cold coffee, and I want to share what I finally figured out in the simplest, most down-to-earth, no jargon way possible, no $10 words to make me sound smart, no complicated biology lessons, just us. Like friends sitting at a kitchen table with a cup of tea. Let me explain something really important. I promise to keep it short and clear. Your body has an incredibly precise system for growing blood vessels. Scientists call it angiogenesis. I know that's a big word, but here's what it means. Think of it like the faucet in your kitchen sink when you need water to heal a cut on your finger, to grow a baby during pregnancy, to repair a muscle. After you exercise, you turn the faucet on. Water flows, the job gets done, and when you're done, you turn the faucet off. Perfect control on when needed, off when not needed. That's how your body is supposed to work. Very strict control, very precise, no chaos. But here's the problem. Cancer cells are sneaky. They're like a bad roommate or like a little thief in the night. They send out fake signals, chemical messages that trick your body into thinking emergency. Emergency, we need new blood vessels here right now. Send help immediately. And your body, being the good, helpful, obedient servant that it is, listens. It starts growing that tiny blood vessel, and that blood vessel grows straight toward the sleeping cancer cell. That's when everything changes. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a tiny ember on your stove, a little spark. It's barely glowing by itself. It would probably just fizzle out in a few minutes. No harm done. But now imagine someone quietly pours a whole can of gasoline on that little spark. What happens? Whoosh, big fire, out of control. That little pen tip size cell that was harmless for years, maybe decades, once it hooks up to that fuel line, that blood supply, it can grow 16,000 times bigger in about 2 weeks. I am not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because it's real science. This has been tested, retested, published in major medical journals and confirmed by labs all over the world. We call it tumor angiogenesis, and it is one of the most important things I have ever studied now. And this is the hopeful part. Now here's where it gets good. My research team spent many, many years trying to figure out one simple question. How do we cut that fuel line? How do we stop that blood vessel from ever reaching the cancer cell? How do we stop the gasoline from being poured on the ember? And we did it. We developed targeted drugs that starve tumors by blocking new blood vessels. These drugs are now used in hospitals all over the world. They have helped an enormous number of patients. I am incredibly proud of that work, but here's the moment that changed my entire career. And I mean everything. When we use the exact same lab system, the same test, the same method to test ordinary foods, things you buy at the grocery store every single week, we found something that made everyone in the lab stop what they were doing. People put down their coffee, people took off their headphones. More than 100 different foods showed the same ability to block bad blood vessel growth as those breakthrough drugs that took us years to develop. 100 foods sitting in your kitchen, on your shelf, in your freezer, in your fruit bowl, things you probably already eat. I need you to really hear that, because this changed not just my research. It changed the way I look at every single meal I eat. It changed the way I talk to my own family. It changed the way I think about what medicine really means. The day I tested green tea like a drug. Let me tell you a quick story. I don't tell this story often, but it's important. One day, I did something that most scientists wouldn't admit to. I took some green tea, just ordinary store-bought green tea from a box, and I dripped it into our lab system that measures tumor blood vessel growth. I wanted to see what would happen, and you know what happened? The polyphenols in that tea. Those are natural plant compounds, blocked the growth of new blood vessels so well that I didn't believe it at first. I thought the machine was wrong. I thought I made a mistake. So we ran the test again and again, same result every time. Here's the funny part. I didn't tell my lab technician what it was. I just said, this is a new compound from a pharmaceutical company. Run it through the system. Don't ask questions. He looked at the results. His eyes got wide. He turned to me and said, wow, if this data is real, that company is going to be huge. This drug is going to sell like crazy. They're going to make a fortune. Then I smiled and said, that's not a drug. That's green tea, just regular green tea you buy at the grocery store. He was quiet for about 3 seconds. Then he looked at me and said, Mother Nature is really something, isn't she? Yes, yes, she is. We've been drinking tea for thousands of years, green tea, black tea, oolong tea, white tea. It all contains a family of compounds called polyphenols, and one in particular called EGCG. And study after study after study has shown that EGCG can interfere with that dangerous blood vessel growth that wakes up sleeping cancer cells. So that cup of tea your grandmother drank every afternoon, that mug of green tea your neighbor drinks instead of coffee, it might have been quietly protecting them in ways nobody understood at the time. We're just now catching up to what our ancestors knew all along. Let's talk about those 100 foods. I can't list all 100 foods in one video. We'd be here until tomorrow morning, and you have better things to do. So let me start with a few important ones. Try these first. Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm yourself. Number 1, green tea. We already talked about it. Just drink it. Hot, iced, decaf. Doesn't matter. 1 or 2 cups a day. That's it. If you don't like the taste, try it with a little honey or a squeeze of lemon. We'll talk about the lemon trick later. Number 2, grapes, more specifically grape skins, and red wine also contains a compound called resveratrol. Now, let me be very clear. If you don't drink alcohol, please do not start for this. You do not need to. Grape skins have it all by themselves. Even peanut skins have a little bit, so next time you eat grapes, don't spit out the skin. I know it's a little bitter, I know it's a little chewy, I know it's not what you're used to. Wash them well and eat the whole thing. That bitterness, that slight astringency, that's the good stuff. That's the medicine. Number 3, tomatoes. I love this one. Tomatoes have a compound called lycopene. Now here's a trick that most people don't know, and it's a game changer. Lycopene is fat soluble. That means it needs fat for your body to absorb it, and heat actually makes it more available. So a cold raw tomato from the fridge, fine, but a tomato cooked in a little olive oil, your body absorbs way more of the good stuff. So a simple tomato sauce with olive oil, perfect tomato soup with a swirl of cream. Yes, pizza with tomato sauce in moderation. Yes, but here's a classic American example. Spaghetti with marinara sauce made with olive oil. That's not just comfort food, that's scientifically smart. And let me tell you something about a dish that might not be on every American table, but should be eggs scrambled with tomatoes cooked in a little oil. That is not just delicious. That is scientifically brilliant. The heat and the oil work together to unlock the lycopene so your body can actually use it. Your grandmother didn't know the word bioavailability, but she knew what worked. She knew what felt right. And now we have the science to prove her right. Number 4, soy. Okay, I need to stop here for a few minutes. I'm serious. Put down your phone for a second because there is so much confusion about soy, and this confusion is actually hurting people. I see it in my clinic all the time. Good, well meaning people are cutting out healthy foods because of bad information. A few years ago, some articles and some very loud voices online said soy is bad for you, that it's an anti-nutrient, that it messes with your hormones. I have to be honest with you. When I read that, I almost choked on my coffee. I'm not kidding. We have been eating tofu, edamame, tempeh, and drinking soy milk for centuries. In many Asian countries, China, Japan, Korea, soy is a daily staple. It's not exotic. It's not weird. It's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for a long time, those countries had lower rates of certain cancers, including breast cancer and prostate cancer, than the United States. So let's just use basic logic for a second. Does it make sense that a food that has been eaten safely for thousands of years by millions of people is suddenly dangerous? Or does it make more sense that a headline got it wrong? Let's look at the actual evidence, not the Facebook post, not the TikTok video, not the guy in his basement with a YouTube channel. Let's look at peer-reviewed, published, repeated science. Soy contains plant estrogens called isoflavones. The name sounds scary, plant estrogen. I get it, they look a little bit like human estrogen, and that scares people. That's the whole reason the myth started. But here's the key, and this is really important. They act completely differently in your body. Think of it like this. Your cells have little parking spots. We call them receptors for estrogen. Real human estrogen pulls into that parking spot and says, move over, in parking here. It activates things, but plant estrogens, they pull into the same parking spot, put up a reserve sign, and then they don't do anything. They just sit there. They block the real estrogen from getting in. They don't activate the spot, they occupy it quietly. So in your body, soy is not estrogenic, it's anti-estrogenic, it blocks estrogen, it lowers estrogen activity. That's why multiple large studies have actually shown that women who eat more soy have lower rates of breast cancer, not higher. And that's not all. A compound in soy called genistein has been shown in clinical studies, human studies, not mouse studies, to actually cut off the blood supply to breast tumors. It inhibits angiogenesis just like those breakthrough drugs I told you about earlier. So please, from the bottom of my heart, eat your tofu, drink your soy milk, enjoy your edamame with a little sea salt, have miso soup, eat tempeh. Soy is not your enemy in many ways. It has been quietly helping you for decades. If someone you know cut out all soy because of a scary post they saw online, send them this video. Seriously, sometimes the right piece of information is more valuable than any supplement you can buy at the store. A single correct sentence can save someone years of unnecessary fear. Now let's build up your body's special forces, okay? That was all about cutting off the fuel line to bad cells, starving the bad guys. That's one half of the story. But there's another side to this. And it's just as important, maybe even more important for day-to-day life. Your immune system has two very special types of cells. One is called T cells. The T stands for thymus, but you don't need to remember that. The other is called natural killer cells. NK cells for short. I love that name. Natural killer sounds like a movie, right? Think of them as your body's Navy SEALs, your special forces, your Delta Force. They patrol your blood 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They don't take holidays. They don't call in sick. They are constantly looking for anything suspicious, any cell that starts to go bad, including very early cancer cells. And when they find one, they go in and take it out. No questions asked, no debate. Just action. Here's the problem for most of us these days. That Special Forces team is understaffed, low on equipment, low on ammo, running on fumes. Work stress, mortgage stress, kid stress, not enough sleep, too many drive-through meals, eating in the car between meetings, late night Netflix when you should be in bed, scrolling your phone instead of sleeping. All of these things quietly drain your immune army. You don't feel it happening. It's slow, it's quiet, until one day you catch every single cold that goes around the office, or you get the flu even though you got the shot, or you just feel tired all the time. So how do we rebuild that team? How do we recruit more soldiers? How do we give them better weapons? Let me give you two powerful examples. Blueberries. Why are blueberries blue? Because of a natural pigment called anthocyanins. That's a fancy word, but all it means is blue stuff in plants. And those anthocyanins do something really, really special. They gently activate your immune system, not in a crazy, over the top inflammatory way, but in a steady, sustainable, healthy way. Think of it as adding more soldiers to your army without causing chaos. You're not setting off fireworks, you're just quietly increasing your troop count, one study. And this is a human study, not a petri dish study. Found that eating about 1.5 cups of blueberries per Dalton Y increased T cell activity by roughly 88%. 88%, that's almost double. You had 100 soldiers, now you have 188. That is a big deal. And here's the really cool part, blueberries also lower chronic inflammation. Now, a lot of people get confused here. I hear this in my clinic all the time. Doctor, if I boost my immune system, won't that cause more inflammation? Isn't inflammation just immune system overdrive? That's a misunderstanding, and it's an important one to clear up. Inflammation is what happens when your immune system is confused, dysregulated, or overactivated. It's like an army that doesn't know friend from foe and starts shooting at everything, including your own healthy tissue. That's bad. That's arthritis. That's allergies. That's autoimmune disease. But a calm, strong, well-trained, well-fed army, that army doesn't shoot its own people. That army knows exactly who the enemy is and takes them out quietly and efficiently. That's what blueberries help you build. A calm, strong, professional army. In fact, studies on athletes who eat blueberries regularly, runners, cyclists, swimmers show they have a higher baseline immune level, not a temporary spike, not a crash later, a steady, reliable, day in, day out foundation. That's what you want when flu season hits and everyone else in your house is sick except you, broccoli. And the part you are throwing away every single time you probably buy broccoli every week, maybe every few days, and every single week you likely throw away the most powerful, most valuable, most nutrient dense part of the entire plant. Let me explain, and please don't feel bad. Almost everyone does this. I used to do it too. Broccoli contains a compound called sulforaphane. Sulforaphane activates T cells, your special forces team. It wakes them up, it trains them, it gives them better weapons. Now, here are the 3 levels of broccoli eating. Look at your own habits, see where you are. Be honest. Level 1, you eat the green florets, the bushy tree-like top part. That's great. That's better than most people. Most Americans don't eat broccoli at all. So if you're eating the florets, you're already ahead. Level 2, you also eat the stems, the white or pale green stalks that connect the florets to the main trunk. Here's the kicker, and this is the part that always surprises people in my office. The stems have 2 times more sulforaphane than the florets, twice as much, double. So when you chop off the stems and throw them in the trash, or even worse, when you buy pre-cut broccoli florets in a bag and never see the stems at all, you are literally, scientifically, undeniably throwing away the most valuable part. Next time you make broccoli, don't throw away the stems, slice them up thin slices, stir fry them with a little garlic and olive oil, roast them in the oven with salt and pepper, throw them into a soup. Dice them small and add them to an omelet. They're crunchy, mild, slightly sweet, and honestly delicious. My kids eat them without complaining. That's the test. Level 3 broccoli sprouts. This is where things get really interesting. Broccoli sprouts are 3 to 4 day old broccoli seedlings. They look like little green clovers or tiny alfalfa sprouts. They're small, they're delicate, they're unassuming, and their sulforaphane content is 100 times higher than mature broccoli. You heard me right, 100 times, not 10 times, not 50 times. That's not a typo, that's real science. Let me give you an example that still blows my mind every time I think about it. There was a study where healthy young adults got a standard flu vaccine. One group also drank a smoothie made with broccoli sprouts. That's it, just a smoothie. The group that drank the sprout smoothie had an immune response 22 times stronger than the group that only got the shot. 22 times. That is not a small difference. That is not a maybe it helps a little difference. That is a completely different level of protection. That's like showing up to a fight with a tank instead of a butter knife. You can find broccoli sprouts at many larger grocery stores, often near the mushrooms, the fancy lettuce, or the specialty vegetables. Whole Foods carries them, many regional chains carry them. They're usually in a small plastic clamshell box, or, and this is actually fun, you can grow them yourself. Buy a small bag of broccoli seeds online or at a health food store, get a wide mouth glass jar, put a screen or cheesecloth over the top, Rinse the seeds twice a day. In 3 or 4 days, you have fresh broccoli sprouts. The cost is almost nothing. It's like having a tiny little garden on your kitchen counter. My kids love watching them grow. A quick word about human nature because this really matters. Let me stop here and talk about something real, something I don't hear other doctors talk about enough. Have you noticed this pattern whenever someone tells you you can never eat sugar again, or you have to give up all your favorite foods, or that thing you love is poison? What's the very first thing that pops into your head? A bag of Doritos, a second helping of mac and cheese, a milkshake, a slice of pie, right? That is not because you have no willpower. That is not because you're weak or lazy or broken. That is human nature. Psychologists call it reactance. The more you feel controlled or restricted or bossed around, the more you want the forbidden thing. It's wired into our brains. It's a survival thing. So the traditional approach, you're eating poison, you're slowly killing yourself. Stop eating that right now or else that doesn't work. In fact, it often backfires spectacularly. People feel ashamed. Then they eat more to feel better. Then they feel more ashamed. Then they eat even more. It's a vicious, terrible, exhausting cycle. I have seen this cycle destroy people's relationships with food. I have seen patients cry in my office because they feel so much guilt about what they eat, and that guilt is not helping anyone. So here's what I tell my patients now, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Don't focus on what you have to cut out. Focus on what you can add in. Look at that list of 100 science-backed, evidence-based, delicious, real foods. Which ones do you already like? Which ones are easy for you? Which ones are already in your kitchen? Start there. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to choke down kale chips if you hate kale. You don't have to pretend to like things you don't like. You just have to eat a little more of the good stuff you already enjoy. If you like blueberries, eat more blueberries. If you like tomatoes, cook them with a little olive oil. If you like tea, drink an extra cup. If you like broccoli, even just the florets, eat the stems too. If you like kiwi, eat one before bed. Here's the simple physics of it. Your plate only holds so much. Your stomach only holds so much. If you fill it with good things, the bad things naturally get squeezed out. You don't have to fight a war every single meal. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to tilt the balance. This isn't philosophy. This is physics. Volume in, volume out. Good stuff in, less room for bad stuff. That's it, the 5 defense systems, a simple framework you can actually remember over the years through all those late nights in the lab. Through all those papers I read, through all those conversations with patients, I've organized our body's natural defenses into 5 major systems. Think of them like 5 pillars holding up a roof. If one pillar is weak, the roof can still stand. If 2 are weak, it gets harder. If 3 or 4 are weak, the roof starts to sag. Number 1, angiogenesis control. This is what we talked about first, controlling the growth of new blood vessels so bad cells can't get a fuel line. You want this system strong. The all-star foods here include green tea, red grapes, tomatoes, and soy. Number 2, stem cell protection. Stem cells are your body's repair crew. They're like a construction team that fixes damaged tissues, your liver, your skin, your blood, your gut lining. Research is still growing here, but the early all-stars include blackberries and dark chocolate. Yes, dark chocolate in moderation. I'm not saying eat a whole bar, a couple of squares. Number 3, gut microbiome. You have trillions of bacteria living in your gut right now. Most of them are friendly, some are not. The friendly ones help you digest food, regulate your immune system, produce vitamins, and even influence your mood. Feed them well with fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, and also with prebiotic foods like kiwi, oats, and whole grains. Number 4, DNA protection. Your DNA is your body's master blueprint. It's the instruction manual for every cell in your body. If your DNA gets damaged by toxins, by stress, by poor diet, by random bad luck, cells can start misbehaving. Foods rich in certain antioxidants help protect your DNA from damage and even help repair it. The best examples here include kiwi, broccoli, and nuts like walnuts and almonds. Number 5, immune activation. This is your special forces team, the T cells and natural killer cells we talked about. You want them well fed, well rested, and ready to go. The best foods here include blueberries, broccoli sprouts, and mushrooms of all kinds, white button, shiitake, maytake, oyster, you name it. Today we focus mostly on number 1 and number 5. Well, get to numbers 2, 3, and 4 in future videos. There's a lot to say, but here's the beautiful thing, and I want you to really hear this. When all 5 of these systems are supported, even a little bit, even imperfectly, even just most of the time, your body has an incredible, almost miraculous ability to take care of itself. It is smart. It is resilient. It wants to survive, it wants to thrive. You just have to give it the right raw materials. And no, you do not have to be perfect. You do not have to eat a perfect diet every single day for the rest of your life. That is not realistic. And I would never ask that of you. The holidays come. You go to Thanksgiving dinner and have 2 slices of pie. You go to a birthday party and eat cake. You have a stressful week and eat fast food 3 times. Your kids bring home cookies and you eat 4 of them. That's fine. That's life. Your defense systems will handle it. They are designed to handle occasional insults. That's what they're for. You just want to be right more often than wrong, 6 or 7 good meals out of 10. That's a win. That's genuinely enough to move the needle. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Just tilt the scale. 2 more things you cannot ignore. Seriously, before we wrap up, I have to add 2 more things. I'm sorry to keep talking, but these are non-negotiable. If you skip everything else, please don't skip these. First, sleep. I know you have heard this 1,000 times from your mother, from your spouse, from every wellness article on the internet. I know, but let me give you a number, a real number from a real study. People who regularly sleep less than 6 hours per night have significantly higher rates of infection. Their immune systems simply do not work as well. Their natural killer cells, those special forces, are less active. Their T cells are slower to respond. You can eat blueberries and broccoli sprouts and green tea and tomatoes all day long. You can do everything right at the grocery store. But if you are exhausted, if you are running on 5 hours of sleep and a venti Starbucks, you are trying to fight a battle with a dead battery. Food is your weapon. Sleep is your charger. You need both. You cannot negotiate with sleep. You cannot out-eat bad sleep. Second, how you eat matters almost as much as what you eat. This is the part that most people don't know, and it's the part that makes the biggest difference for the least effort. Let me give you 2 quick examples. Example 1, tomatoes, lycopene, the good stuff in tomatoes needs fat and heat. So a cold raw tomato from the fridge is fine. It's not bad, but a tomato cooked in a little olive oil or a tomato sauce that has been simmered with a drizzle of oil, your body absorbs way more of the lycopene, like dramatically more. So if you're eating raw tomato salad, great. But if you really want to get the benefit, cook those tomatoes, pasta sauce, tomato soup, shakshuka. That classic dish of eggs poached in tomato sauce, even pizza in moderation, the heat and fat work together. Example 2, green tea polyphenols, the ECG we talked about, are better absorbed in an acidic environment. So here's a 3-second trick, a tiny, effortless, free trick: squeeze a little lemon juice into your green tea. That's it, a few drops. The acidity helps your body absorb the polyphenols more efficiently. You don't need a lot, just a squeeze, 3 seconds, no extra cost, no special equipment, just a lemon. Small details, different results. That's what I love about this. You don't have to change everything. You just have to learn a few small tweaks. The kiwi, my favorite ending. I want to end today with one specific fruit, one humble, fuzzy, slightly weird looking fruit that I personally love, kiwi. But first, let me tell you a story that most Americans don't know. Kiwi originally came from China. Seriously, it's not from New Zealand, even though everyone thinks it is. It was originally called the Chinese gooseberry. Monkeys apparently love them. That's why gooseberry is in the name, but it has nothing to do with geese. Then farmers in New Zealand started growing them in the early 1900s. They realized the fruit looked a little bit like their national bird, the kiwi bird, which is brown, fuzzy, and round, so they renamed it kiwi and started selling it all over the world. Brilliant marketing, honestly. So that fuzzy little fruit in your supermarket, it has been around for a very long time. It has been eaten for centuries, and it is quietly, humbly, incredibly powerful for your health. Now here's the science. Kiwi is packed with vitamin C, more vitamin C than an orange, by the way. And vitamin C has a very important job in your body, protecting your DNA from damage. Remember, DNA, your master blueprint. If your DNA gets damaged, cells can start to go bad. That's how cancer starts. So protecting your DNA is a big deal. One study found that eating just 1 kiwi per Dalton Y reduced DNA damage by about 60%. 60%, that's a huge drop. That's like taking a dented fender and hammering it mostly flat. And if you eat 3 kiwis per Dalton Y, your body actually starts repairing existing DNA damage, not just preventing new damage, but actively fixing old mistakes, also by about 60%. That is not just prevention, that is active repair. That's like having a handyman come to your house and fix the things that are already broken. Kiwi is also a natural prebiotic. That means it feeds the good bacteria in your gut. It's not a probiotic. It doesn't add new bacteria. It's food for the bacteria you already have, and your gut bacteria love kiwi. In fact, one study found that eating a kiwi right before bed, just one kiwi, improved gut bacteria balance by the next morning, one night. That's fast. You can eat it plain, slice it into yogurt, throw it into a smoothie, cut it up and put it on oatmeal. Some people even eat the skin. It's a little fuzzy, a little weird at first, but perfectly safe if you wash it well. The skin has extra fiber. So next time you're at Walmart or Kroger or your local farmer's market and you see that little brown fuzzy fruit in a bin for $1 or two, I hope you remember this conversation that humble fruit, originally from China, renamed in New Zealand, now everywhere in America, is quietly, diligently, faithfully helping protect your genetic code. Let's be real for a moment. You clicked on this video for a reason. I don't know your reason. Maybe it's for yourself. Maybe you've been worried. Maybe you have a family history. Maybe you just turned 40 or 50 or 60 and you're starting to think about these things differently. Maybe it's for your mom or dad. Maybe one of them is going through treatment right now and you want to help, but you don't know how. Maybe your husband or your wife has been scared and you want to bring them some hope. Maybe it's for your kids. You want them to grow up with a different relationship with food than you had. Maybe it's just because you're curious, because you're a smart person and you want to understand how your body actually works. Whatever the reason, it means you're not just floating through life. You're not just sleepwalking. You're paying attention. And honestly, that deserves some real credit. Most people don't. Most people wait until something scary happens. You're not waiting. That matters. I have sat in exam rooms, many exam rooms, with patients who just got a difficult diagnosis: cancer, heart disease, diabetes. And so many of them, more than half, say the same thing, almost the exact same words. I wish I had known sooner. I wish I had started earlier. I wish I hadn't ignored the small things. I wish someone had told me this years ago. That breaks my heart every single time, every time. Because some of them, not all, but some of them, they could have made different choices if they had known. They just didn't know. I don't want that to be you. I want you to be the person who knew it today and started it today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down, not when you lose the weight first, not when you have more money, not when you have more time, because things never calm down. There is never a perfect time. The perfect time is a myth. Start today, tonight. Open your fridge, open your pantry, look around. Do you have blueberries? Do you have broccoli, including the stems? Do you have a tomato? Do you have a kiwi? Do you have a bottle of green tea in the fridge? Do you have a lemon? Pick one thing, just one. Eat it, drink it. That's it. That's your start. Next time you go to the grocery store, add one more thing from this list, just one. You don't have to change everything at once. You don't have to throw away all your junk food. You don't have to become a different person overnight. Just add one thing this week, then another thing next week. Small changes, low pressure, no guilt. Your body is waiting. Those 5 defense systems are waiting. They're not mad at you. They're not disappointed in you. They're just waiting for you to give them a little more ammunition, a little more support, a little more love, a handful of blueberries, a cup of green tea with lemon, the broccoli stem you used to throw away, one kiwi before bed. That's enough. That's a good start. That's a real start, and your body will quietly, silently, faithfully thank you. One last request, and this one is important if this video helped you, and I really truly hope it did. Please don't just save it to a playlist and forget about it. That doesn't help anyone. That's just digital clutter. Think of one person in your life who needs to hear this. Really think maybe your mom or dad who are getting older and don't know where to start. Maybe your sister or brother who eats takeout every night because they're too tired to cook. Maybe your neighbor who just got a scary diagnosis. Maybe your coworker who is always stressed and tired and getting sick. Maybe your spouse who rolls their eyes when you talk about health stuff, but secretly worries. Send it to them, text it to them, email it, put it in the family group chat, post it on your social media if you want. Whatever works. The real value of health information is not sitting in a saved folder on your phone. The real value is movement. It's sharing, it's showing up, it's helping someone you actually care about. Your one share might be exactly what someone needed today. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not your personal doctor. This information is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Everyone's body is different. Always consult with your own primary care physician before making any significant changes to your diet, your supplements, or your lifestyle. I'm here to help you understand the science, not to replace a real relationship with your own doctor. If you're dealing with any health concerns right now, big or small, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. Get your checkup, get your screening, get your blood work, have the conversation. That's your first and most important step. I'm here to help you understand the science. I'm here to give you hope. I'm here to give you tools, but I am not a replacement for someone who knows your medical history, your medications, your family history, and your personal risks. Take care of yourself, really. You matter more than you know. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.